So we're going to talk here in just a minute about prioritizing prioritizing certain applications over other applications and the reason why we need to do that. So let's talk for just a minute about another way in which the standard home office looks like. We're doing a GoToMeeting, Zoom. We're all familiar with Zoom. We're all familiar with applications like Ignite and Google. The problem is, if you're anything like me, you're competing at home with maybe someone else working in the home, but you're also competing with those pesky kids who are currently on summer break. They're watching Disney Plus, they're watching Netflix. If you flood your home or business internet with applications and nothing is prioritized, then you're going to start to run into some problems. So this is really where Bigleaf Home Office fits in. We're going to create a network that prioritizes business applications over all the other things going on in your home office. So you can have seamless Zoom calls, seamless GoToMeetings, seamless Nextiva or Vonage or 8x8 calls. We're cloud ready. We are site to cloud, site being your home office, cloud being all the other cloud-based applications that you're using. Again, we've addressed some of them: Office 365, Ignite, Zoom, RingCentral, and so forth. The one question we do get a lot of is, Eric, you're talking about SD-WAN, but I only have one internet connection at my house. We'll get there in just a minute, but it's important to know that we are not only single circuit friendly, meaning you can just have one circuit at your home office and we can still help you significantly, but we also support VPN, which again, we'll talk about in a little greater detail here in just a minute. The other question we get a lot is, I don't know that my office staff is technical enough to set up and deploy a Bigleaf device, or any device for that matter. So we'll talk about the ease of setup, but it is important to note nearly anybody can install a pre-configured Bigleaf router. It's pre-configured. The cables are color-coded. I actually was joking on a webinar with someone the other day. He said, I'm colorblind. I had to ask my wife to set it up, but it still only took her about 5 minutes. So when you add Bigleaf to the network, things change dramatically. I can speak to that. We had RingCentral at Bigleaf before I got my own Bigleaf device, and I was having significant challenges. Again, not because of RingCentral, but because I didn't have a device prioritizing those business critical applications. So again, we're going to prioritize business critical applications like voice and video, ERPs, Office 365, over all the other things going on in your home office. Again, you may have kids in the basement, you may have kids watching Disney Plus or Netflix, gaming, watching cat videos. Those are not nearly as big a priority for you as the business call that you're on, as the business video that you're on. Maybe some of you are in the practice of medicine and you're now doing telemedicine. Those calls with patients are of utmost priority over the Disney Plus and again, all the other things going on in the home office. So again, it's important to note that we auto detect 100% of the applications. So again, one of the questions we get often is, we talked about the 79 different applications that most businesses are running between 50 and 100 employees, but we didn't identify that most of our competitors in the SD-WAN space require manual policy creation for each of those applications. So let's take a step back to that slide for just a minute. If you, IT, don't know about those applications on the network, how do you prioritize them when you're creating manual policies? So not only does Bigleaf auto detect every application by application type, but we auto prioritize every application by application type. Again, if you have any questions, we're wrapping up here in just a minute with the presentation. If you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the questions box in GoToMeeting. So we prioritize QoS 100% of the application traffic. So again, calls like this, calls when you're closing that $1 million deal, calls when you're doing telemedicine and so forth, are a bigger priority than the other applications going on. Again, we do support VPN. There are still many of you out there that have on-site applications and either had a VPN set up for your remote workers before COVID or have since set up a VPN client to support this post-COVID-19 world that we are now in today. So again, we'll talk about the ease of setup. When I talk about the ease of setup, I first set up Bigleaf in my home office almost a year ago. It took me about 10 minutes. Again, everything is pre-provisioned, so the staff that you will send this to really doesn't have to do any of the legwork. There's 5 steps in the instruction manual. The first one is take it out of the box. The 5th one is go to a website. And if you can get to that website, everything's working just the way it needs to. So in 3 simple steps, you're setting it up. And when I talk about the ease of setup, my wife and I moved to another part of town. We closed on this house on May 1st. So just a few months ago, I asked my 4-year-old son to help me set up my Bigleaf device. And because it was color coded and pre-provisioned, it took a 4-year-old a little bit longer. It did take him about 10 minutes with a little bit of help from dad to set it up. But I talk about that because the value that it brings in protecting the software investments that you have made in these applications, the benefits that it brings in caring for your customers or your end users in a meaningful way in this time where they're working from home, considering that it's relatively inexpensive per user and easy to set up, it is invaluable. It is month to month, so we want to be cognizant of the fact that you're hoping at some point in 2020 to go back to the office, or maybe you anticipate sending some of your staff home. So it is month to month. So as you ship people back to the office and ask them to start working in sort of this post-COVID world, you can ship the device back to us, and there is no contract. We do also have the ability to re-provision it. So let's say you've hired a staff of 2, but you've sent 3 people back to the office. 2 of those people can actually ship that device to your new employees. So I think it's another important thing to address. Again, always available. Our customer service is here to help. I did have a customer who had given us the wrong configuration when he set up his order. We were able to fix everything remotely, but he did have to call customer care. Business applications run as they are intended to, and we will support you through thick and thin, regardless of what you need from us. At the most basic level, we'll help with setup. At a more complex level, if you have policies that you need us to create for you outside of our standards, we can do that as well. So one of the questions that we'll end with is, how much is it? Home office starts at $99 a month. We can walk you through working with Virtua to get that ordered, all the way up to $199 a month based on the total bandwidth throughput that you need. Again, the ordering process is simple. In fact, we're rolling out today a process where you can order online that is much, much easier. You provide us the delivery address. It can be your home office. It can be the home office for your entire staff. We ship it, and everything's, again, pre-provisioned. So with that, Justin, I've talked now for about 15 minutes. I want to pass it back to you, and maybe we could jump into that Q&A.